Premier League fixtures of 2020-21 was announced last week, and West Ham fans were celebrating two things, I guess. One being that our first game of the season is a home game against a club that isn't part of the so-called top six. And the second was that we finally have a home game on a Boxing Day since moving to the new stadium. But hang on a minute. Let's dissect both of these, shall we? Because it's not all that rosy, I guess, considering that we're playing Newcastle, as we all know. And the last time we played them was in November 2019, and we lost 3-2 at home. Which resulted us at that time going without a win in our last in 5 succeeding games, which was the longest run since December 2017. So even though we're kind of cock a hoop that we don't have Liverpool as was thought last week, or Man City that we usually get, we've got a team outside of the top six elite. But mind you, having said all that, we're not the team that played them. We're not the same team that played them last November. David Moyes has since come in. He's changed it around a bit, and I think it's a game that we will start, and it's a game I think we'll do well in, and because I think we're going to need to, aren't we? Then, of course, the Boxing Day. Boxing Day home game, the first one since we've been at the new stadium. And it's against Brighton, of course. The first game at home since since the new stadium move. And what a coincidence that we're not likely to be able to go and see this game, are we? Because of COVID-19, or certainly not. It's not going to be a full house by Christmas. There's going to be severely restricted numbers, and the first home game that we got since moving to the stadium might not be seen by many or any fans. Now, I've got a suspicious feeling, and I hate to say it, but my feeling is that that game's going to be moved. It would not surprise me one bit if at some stage the club or the stadium owners or the shopping centre or somebody goes, we need you to move that game and switch the games around so that we end up playing Brighton away on Boxing Day. Watch out. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And then, of course, after our first game of the season against Newcastle, we've got this run of fixtures. Arsenal away, Wolves at home, Leicester away, Spurs away, Man City at home, Liverpool away. So we were all celebrating the fact that we didn't have our first game of the season against a top six team. And then we get a whole load of them coming at us in one go. So September and October time is going to be a pretty tough schedule. But as the saying goes, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We know we've got to play two teams, every team twice in the league. So why not get them out of the way? And who knows? I think perhaps that we might surprise one or two teams if we have the consistency that we had at the end of last season. If we maintain that, I think we're going to surprise one or two of those teams. So let's not be too worried. I know it's 4 away games and 2 home games throughout September and October, but let's be confident and let's see what happens. And then, of course, we go into November and December, and one would argue that things get a little bit easier, I guess. The games like Fulham, Brighton, Southampton, Villa. I guess Leeds is going to be a tough one. And I think really those are the sorts of games that we've got there in front of us. We played Chelsea twice last season and got 6 points out of them. We've done all right against Man United. We always do fairly okay against teams, or we should be doing. We should be doing fairly well against teams like Sheffield United, against teams like Brighton, Southampton, Palace. We should be. We've always said that, where we kind of fail in the league is when we don't beat the teams around us. And we kind of fail to do that. Sometimes we raise our game and we beat the top teams, and then we forget what it's like to beat some of the teams that are there or thereabouts around us. So maybe come November and December time, that could become, if the first couple of months is difficult, this could become the 2 months where we actually pull our socks up and get some good results in. But, football, as they all say, is a funny old game, and one really doesn't really know what will happen. So what else have we got? Well, fans. Now, Arsenal have been the first club to advise fans that the likely return to stadium is going to happen in the first week of October. They've actually officially notified their fans, and there's been a lot of talk about it, but there's nothing been really confirmed by many other clubs as yet. Now, I'm sure other Premier League teams will follow suit soon. And this is after the Premier League chiefs held constructive talks with the government and will soon provide details of the tests that will happen imminently with primarily the Brighton Amex Stadium and West Ham's London Stadium, who have volunteered to be sort of guinea pigs, venues for the testing to be conducted. Now, this testing is all to find out, can we keep fans socially distanced? Can we make sure that they feel safe and secure in the stadium, and so on and so forth? So that's great. But then we've heard during the week that it's quite likely we're going to go a whole season without any away fans. It's quite possible that this season will be purely about making sure that maybe the 25% of home fans that go to games are only home fans and not away fans. Now, for me, and I guess everyone else will be thinking, this is a massive disadvantage to the away team. Fans love away days. The build up, the atmosphere that the away fans can generate, which actually gives the away team that boost, that extra boost that they need in order to do well away from home. Now, it would be something that the players would also need to get accustomed to. Can you imagine going to an away game? And I know every team, again, has got to sort of experience this, but can you imagine going to an away game only with home fans, and the atmosphere could become quite hostile? It could become, it kind of doesn't create a level playing field, and I think it's quite disappointing. I get it. I get why there's talk about not having away fans at games, and I totally understand it. But I think the government could look at this again and propose different measures, maybe authorizing controlled travel to the games, and giving away tickets to fans that will only agree to traveling to away games in a certain way, maybe coaches to be provided or whatever that may be, in order to sort of kind of control, distancing for away fans and so on. So I'd certainly like to think that the government, the Premier League, etc., will give this a bit more consideration and not just decide that we won't have away fans at games in the upcoming season. But we'll see. Right, what else have we got? TV coverage. Well, with the continued uncertainty whether fans can attend games, many fans might be hoping for perhaps TV companies televising more games, as they did when Project Restart happened, and we saw every single game live on television. Now, there are already 200 Premier League games planned to be broadcast as part of the current TV deals. Plus, there will be what's been agreed is that there'll be an additional 20 games on top of that, which is part of the agreement for no more compensation of money. If you remember, I mentioned last week, clubs have to pay back £330 million to TV companies because of all the disruption that happened during COVID. And in order to overcome any more actual payments to the TV companies, there's been an agreement that 20 more games will be televised throughout the season. 20 more games actually isn't that much, really. Now, it seems TV companies were actually happy to televise more live games until fans were able to actually attend games themselves. But it seems that the clubs themselves have managed to price themselves out of a deal. Now, TV companies under the current climate were not prepared to pay any more money for footage. And why would they? I mean, it's a business as well. Yes, of course. I'm sure they've made a hell of a lot of money. They wouldn't be paying out £5 billion for TV rights if they weren't actually making money out of it. But I think under the current climate, TV companies have gone, we can't afford to pay you anymore. We would like to televise more games, but you're pricing yourselves out of a deal. So we'll just take the 20 extra games that we've agreed and have done with, which is a real shame because the losers out of all this are fans themselves. We're not going to be able to get to go to games, or there might be a restricted amount of number of people going to games. I've just mentioned that we're not likely to be able to go to away games, and then on top of that, we're not going to be able to see live games on TV either, and that's a real shame. Now, apparently, West Ham and Crystal Palace were only two clubs who wanted to explore the possibility of streaming games to season ticket holders on their respective websites. They wanted to do some sort of deal with the TV companies to actually give season ticket holders the opportunity to watch games. Unfortunately, the other clubs voted against that. So it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Really, what's the motive here? Surely the fans are the people who are most important, and surely if we're going to be called customers, customers should be given what they want. There's a product that customers want. So why not give a season ticket holders that opportunity if they can't make a game? Why not give them that opportunity to watch their team play on whatever platform it is? And I think that's a real shame. So all the other clubs that seem to have voted against this should be really thinking about what it is they've done and why they've gone about doing this. Is it because they just want more money in order to televise more games? I think that's a little bit of a it cuts your nose off to spite your face type attitude. Now, apparently, a number of fan groups have gone to the Premier League and they've challenged this decision, and they would like to they would like the clubs to rethink the decision to televise more games whilst lockdown continues. This time, it was Worcester who represented West Ham. I just kind of wonder if only all our fan groups just got together and became one, and how much more stronger our voice would be. But that's an aside. But I think rightly so. Clubs should be challenged, and I think clubs, if it isn't the TV companies that are saying we don't want to televise, if it's the clubs themselves, they should be asking themselves why they've made that decision on behalf of their fans.